guess it's wise to say we've kind of picked our teams off the back of the assumption Chris Davis might do some rotation. So if he's going to pick his full strength squad, he'll effectively do the Exeter model, won't he? Pretty much within reason.
But that's for the league. That's the thing, Matt. That's exactly the point. He's going to look and say, well, actually, we've got Stockport coming up in a few days, so I'm going to play this team. And there's nothing wrong with it. That team that both of us have picked. That's a strong team.
Quality.
Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And this weekend, Birmingham City have a break from the EFL League One campaign when they take on Blackpool at Bloomfield Road in the second round of the FA Cup. So an interesting fixture, one that we think that we may see a few changes in the Blues team, and that's what we're going to discuss in the podcast. And as always, just give our general view on Blackpool and what I think will happen. So Matt, what's your thoughts on Blackpool in the second round?
So Blackpool are an odd team, Dad. I can never quite figure them out. And this is a cup game on Sunday, so it's quite hard to prepare for these, isn't it? Because the teams might change. I'm sure Bruce might rest some players. I'm sure Chris Davis is going to try some new players. So the league's a good marker, though, isn't it? Because we can have a look at how they set up and their stats and their formations and these sorts of things. But they had a bit of a manager bounce when Bruce got in. They won 4 on the bounce, I think it was. They beat teams like Charlton, so they had a really good little run.
And Huddersfield.
And Exeter, there you go. So they had a really good little run, and then they've kind of gone off the ball a little bit since. In fact, they won last night against Bristol Rovers 2-0, but before that, I think the last win was the 28th of September, I think I saw earlier, which is,
so they won in 4 games. Then out of the next 8, they drew 3 and lost 5, and then like I said last night, so they had a great start with Bruce, had a really poor run of results, and then they won their first game last night in a long time. So it's a strange form.
Absolutely. I mean, they can score goals. I mean, I've got the stats here. They average 1.41 goals a game, which is classed as average. But they're big problems at the back. They averagely concede 1.76. That's classed as very poor. So they do leak a lot of goals. And although they did just keep a clean sheet against Bristol Rovers the other night, 2-0. But I saw the post-match interview to that, Dad, and Brucey was on, and he was saying a lot of the problems at Blackpool aren't quality issues, they're confidence issues. I thought that was quite interesting. So clearly, I think he feels they've got the quality there, but there must be something missing in the click or the confidence with Blackpool at the moment.
Yeah, and you're right in terms of their defence. I mean, obviously, it is a cup game, but in order to gauge what type of team they are, we have to look at their league form. They've got the worst defence in the whole of League One. Yeah. They've conceded 28 goals. 30 goals, in 17 games. That's the most in the whole of League One. So they're very vulnerable to conceding goals at the back. They have got some decent players though. I mean, if you look at some of the players in their
I know Kyle Joseph's their big one, isn't he?
He's a top scorer. He's got 6 goals, and you've got James Husband. He's an experienced left back. He's got 3 goals. Lee Evans, not the comedian. He's a central midfielder with 2 goals. CJ Hamilton, 2 goals, and then you got Lee Evans has got 5 assists. Ashley Fletcher as well, another player with assists. He's got 2. So they got some decent players in that team. And if it's a confidence thing, I can see what Steve Bruce is talking about, because clearly you got quality players, but just because you're a quality player doesn't mean to say that you're going to be brilliant every game. So if he can get them firing, I think they could be okay.
Well, when Bruce took over and had that 4 game span of winning, they were up near the playoffs, weren't they? And then suddenly now they filtered down.
That was in the early season. No, that was that's when the season was so, the league table was just, you have a win, you got 7 places.
Yeah, true.
And stuff like that. But they won 4 in a row. I think that at the end of that 4th win, it took them into about 3rd or 4th at that time. And then they completely tailed off.
16th, I believe, now.
Yeah, that. Yeah, they're around about 16th as well. So, their league form is very, very inconsistent. But, as you said, Matt, this is a cup game. Yeah. So we don't know really what either manager's going to... I'm pretty sure, we'll talk about Blues in a minute, we're going to see changes in the Blues team. Chris Davis mentioned that, I think, in his post-match against Exeter. I'm pretty sure Steve Bruce will do the same.
Definitely, yeah.
Because the managers will see the league as, at League One, as the priority. You'd love a good cup run, wouldn't you? Good for the club, good for the fans, good for the finances. But if it means it's detrimental to your league form, I think managers would accept that. Have a good go. But if we get knocked out, we got the league then. Yeah,
definitely. And I think just coming back to Blackpool and their players, they had Cole Joseph, who's got their 7 goals. He seems to be a fan favourite, and even the fans were speculating on social media saying he's probably going to rest him just to make sure he's fit for the incoming batch of league games that come in. So there's no doubt there's going to be rotation on both sides. 100%. Yeah. And that's what makes these games a little bit more difficult to to predict and prepare for. But just going back to that confidence thing, Dad, this stat really blew my mind earlier, right? So they're prone to conceding late goals, Blackpool, and the majority of their goals have been conceded at 80-plus minutes, right? And they've conceded 6 goals on 6 different games in 90-plus minutes.
Wow.
So
Wow.
do you remember us against Northampton, how gutted we felt when we conceded that goal in 90-plus last kick of the game?
Yeah,
Imagine walking away from 6 games this season with that distraught feeling of conceding a goal in 90-plus. So, that tells me that they have a problem seeing games out. Maybe there's a fitness level there, problem there. Maybe there's a concentration level there. I don't know what's going on at Blackpool, but that is a lot of late goals to concede. I mean, their fans must be going through the mill at the minute conceding those late goals.
Well, I can actually tell you what games they are. They conceded 3 late goals against Stockport earlier in the season. They lost 3-0, and they were the 2 of those goals were in the 80th and 90th minute. They conceded in the last minute against Exeter, although they won that game 2-1 because they actually scored after. Which is interesting. They conceded in the last minute against Charlton, but that didn't matter because they were 2-0 up in that game as well. They conceded very late against Lincoln and drew that game 1-1. Very late against Barnsley and lost that game 2-1. Very late against Bolton and lost that game 2-1. So you are right. So they are vulnerable, and it could be a fitness thing. In relation to their stamina after those games, towards the end of a game, but
it signals a problem though, doesn't it? To do that consistently over the course of the season so far, that highlights a big problem somewhere.
But what I would say is that if you look at their home record last season, right, in League One, I know this is league, but they only lost 3 games at home last season, the whole of last season.
That's good. That's impressive.
This season they've only lost twice. So they are good at home. They're good at home, and of course this is the FA Cup, so there'll be no replays in this. So if there's a draw, it's going to go to penalties. So is it extra time then penalties? I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah, I hope so. They best not go straight to penalties.
No, I think it's extra time and then penalties.
Unless it's the Bristol Street Motors where you get an extra point and then
it's not called that anymore, is it?
No, it's good. They've changed it midway through, which drives me nuts.
Yeah, but if you look at their strengths, some of the things that they've got some good qualities. This team have Blackpool attacking down the wings. Creating chances using through balls and also attacking set pieces, which we need to be wary of. I'm more comfortable now with what happened if Chris Davis plays the same system against Exeter, because that was a weak spot for us. Creating scoring chances generally, stealing the ball from the opposition, but they have got a couple of weaknesses. One of them is defending against long shots, so for what us playing, we're in. And very, very weak, apparently. Well, we just discussed it, protecting the lead. They're actually classed as very weak on that. So, there's a lot of positive qualities that they've got in that team, but also there's a couple of negatives we could exploit.
They're also vulnerable to balls in the box as well. I've seen, again, you know me, I like to do my pretty thorough research. If you look at a lot of the goals they've conceded this season, it's either been set pieces or from wide areas, cutting it into the box. Seems to be a League One trait there, and it had a lot of League One teams just pepper the box with crosses and balls and sort of hope for the best. I mean, Wrexham are masters at it. They literally get balls in the box for the whole 90 minutes, and it's really effective. So if you're good at it, you can score a lot of goals. But I know Blackpool have been particularly vulnerable to wide balls in the box, which plays into your point about weaknesses down width. Because to me, weakness down the widths mean balls in the box.
Yeah. I mean, they again, for a team at League One as well, they have some decent recruitment. I mean, they're all free transfers, but Ashley Fletcher came in. We've already spoken about him. He was centre forward. They got him from Watford, so he's a championship player. Lee Evans, he was in the Portsmouth promotion winning team last season. I think he was out of contract, and they didn't offer him a new one, or decided to leave. He's central midfielder. Jordan Rhodes, they made his loan spell permanent from Huddersfield. Elliot Embleton as well. He was always a rated player. He was at Sunderland. He now plays for Blackpool. Hayden Coulson, he's a left back from Middlesbrough. There's good players in that team, and we know now, Matt. We've had enough games in League One as a League One team. We don't take any opposition as easy or lightly, and these can hurt us. They can hurt us, but. It's just not knowing what team, what players, each manager. In a minute, we're gonna predict what we think is the Blues' starting lineup, which you might find interesting. And in most League One games, you could 90% of the players, or maybe all of them sometimes, you sort of know what Chris Davis is going to do. This is more difficult. So therefore, the outcome of the game will depend upon, is any of the managers resting players, or are they changing formations or stuff like that? So it's going to be a very interesting game. I said to you, Matt, we had a conversation about this. I was absolutely chuffed to bits that we drew Blackpool in the FA Cup because I wanted a top League One team or someone in League One. I didn't want another banana skin when we managed to get past Sutton United in round one, and I just feel that these type of games are games it's going to be fairly evenly matched in as much as they're at home, they're the home team, and I just feel that there's something more about playing a team as high as the highest teams are in league in round two are League One teams.
Yeah.
Obviously the Championship and Prem teams don't come until round three.
Exactly.
So for me, it's a perfect draw. Would you have preferred another opponent or?
Well, I said on the podcast, we spoke about this on another video, and I said I would have wanted another non-league team or a League Two team, but that was for selfish reasons, wanting to see a new stadium or tick another stadium off the bucket list. Really, that was all that was. But I completely get your logic in terms of a banana skin and actually having. Because if we lose to someone like Sutton United, you become the laughing stock, don't you? And if you win, you only just about beat them. So you can't win in those games. I must admit, I'm with you on that one. But I was coming from it on the angle of just seeing another stadium.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, finally on Blackpool Day, just a few things here. The last 8, so we've met Blackpool in recent history 18 times, 6 wins, 6 defeats, 6 draws.
Oh, interesting.
So we've had 6 along each of the different outcomes. And apparently, according to the bookies, we have a 70% chance of winning this game. So they are tipping us as the favourites again. But we're going to be going into every game as favourites. So exactly.
The bookies, yeah. I mean, don't forget the bookies do their odds based on risk.
Of course they do.
So obviously, they're going to make us favourites, aren't they? Interestingly, Steve Bruce is back there. We know about Steve Bruce. He was our manager.
I like Brucey.
I do as well. I think he's on. I think the Blues fans will give him a good welcome.
I hope so.
He, at the end of the day, he got promoted to the Premier League, and we did well under him. But
we'll forget that little bit he spent down the road for that little bit of time, and then
exactly.
We'll remember Brucey for the promotion.
But in his playing career, he was a defender, and we saw that with his Birmingham City teams. He firstly set us up not to concede, and we never scored many goals with Steve Bruce. Now he sets up his Blackpool teams in a 4-4-2, from what I've seen. Okay, so that'll be interesting because. That means that Chris Davies, interesting to see, he'll know that, and he'll wonder how he'll set us up to match that.
It's interesting. He is he does set him up as 4-4-2, but against Bristol Rovers, he changed it to 4-3-3.
Oh, okay.
So he changed the formation for the first time this season, and a lot of Blackpool fans on social media were saying it was a breath of fresh air. So I've got a feeling he's going to stick with the 4-3-3, but. In that vein, Dad, we mentioned about not knowing the teams, not knowing the players. He might mix it up and go for something completely different. Again, you just don't know because it's a cup game.
It is, but again, it's a cup game, so it's nice to have a break from the league. I think a lot of Blues fans will be looking forward to it. So should we go on to Blues?
Yeah, let's do it.
Talk about now. This is going to be interesting in terms of trying to predict what our starting lineup. So do you want to start then? Start with the goalkeeper.
I mean. Goalkeeper's nice and easy for me. In the interest of rotation, I think he'll give Bailey Peacock-Farrell a run out.
I've got him as well, and I think that's the right thing to do in a cup game.
Yeah. So defense. I mean, do you want to do the defence, Dad, or go individual areas of the defence?
No, let's go. We'll start off with right back. Go from right to left.
Right back then.
Okay, I'm going to go for Laird.
Yep.
Yeah.
So. It's hard for me to not give my explanation without talking through the whole team. I was going to go Taylor Gardner-Hickman at right back, but I think he's going to plug in at centre mid. So
I've put him in centre mid.
Yeah,
as well.
so I think, and I was thinking, will he stick with Bielek because off the back of the Exeter game? I actually think he's going to put Bielek back in the middle, Laird out right. I think he's going to give Clara a rest and go for Ben Davies in the centre with him, and I think he might give Brandon Keeler a go at left back.
Oh, interesting.
And if not Keeler. He could put Cochrane.
Based upon what you just said, just to clear in my mind and also for the viewers, just go through your back line, then your back four. Then
okay, Laird, right back, Bielek, Ben Davies, Keeler.
Okay,
Keeler.
I've gone for Laird, right back. Centre halves, I've gone for Sanderson and for Ben Davies. And he's not dropped Cochrane yet.
Exactly, he needs a rest.
He needs a rest. So in that case, then I've also I'd go for Keeler as well. Then if he doesn't play Cochrane, I know that Buchanan's not too far away, but I don't think he's quite there yet.
He's not match ready yet. I don't think. I think he's in training, and I think he's ramping up the pace. I don't think he's ready for match yet.
So my back four, therefore, just to reiterate, will be Laird left back. I'm going for Ben Davies, Dion Sanderson, and on the left, I'm still going to go for Cochrane. Because he hasn't dropped him yet.
Fair enough. So mine's Laird, Bielek, Davies, Keeler.
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, let's go into midfield then.
So I've gone for Mark Leonard. I
Yeah.
think that's a no-brainer if he's going to go for the 4-2-3-1. And alongside him, I've gone Taylor Gardner-Hitman.
I've picked exactly the same too. Yeah, Mark Leonard is almost nailed on to start this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he has to be.
Yeah.
He needs a run
Yeah,
out. And
it'd be Leonard, and I've gone for Taylor Gardner-Hitman because I think again Taylor Gardner-Hitman's done nothing wrong.
No.
And I think he will be in that midfield because he's a midfielder. Taylor, that's his position.
He is.
He played at right back because we needed him there, but he's actually a midfielder. So yeah, so Leonard and Taylor Gardner-Hitman. So, okay, that's sorted out.
Yeah.
Then.
So shall I talk through the attacking line, or do you want to go for yours? I don't mind.
I'll do yours first.
Yeah. So I've gone for Luke Harris in the 10.
Yeah.
I think he's going to give Luke Harris some running. I think he's going to play Yokoyama, and I think he's going to play Keshi Anderson.
Okay, I've got the same. Well,
Yeah.
I've got Luke Harris in the 10.
Yeah.
I've got Yokoyama on the left.
Yeah.
But I've gone for Lyndon Dykes in the number 10
Okay.
with Alfie Mate at number 9.
Nice.
Yeah.
See,
Well, if he picks it.
so I've gone for Yokoyama on the left. It doesn't. Yokoyama and Anderson are interchangeable. I don't think it effectively matters. But let's go Anderson on the left, Harris in the 10, Yokoyama on the right, and I've put Dykes up front.
Oh, okay. So
I
I've
think-
got Alfie May because I think Alfie May could do some more games at number 9, and I think
Yeah.
even though it's a cup, it's he's energetic.
Good point.
So I've got Anderson on the bench. I think he'll have a break. So on the bench, I've got Bradley Mayo because I think Allsop will get a complete break. Because obviously then on the rest of the bench, because there's 9 subs in the FA Cup, so I've got Bielek, Keller, because I've not picked him in the starting lineup. He'll be covered for Cochrane, Clara, Paik, Awata, Anderson, Williamson, and Stansfield.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I look at our bench and I'm actually frightened looking at it.
Yeah. So mine is exactly the same. I must admit, I did put Allsop in, but I agree with you now. You've talked it out. I think Mayo will get given the time, and all mine are exactly the same, apart from the swaps where we've mixed positions in.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, I just got to not pull you up, but ask you about Sanderson, because obviously he did do that clanger against Northampton. There are rumours about him going in January. Do you think Chris Davis might see him as already out the door, though? Do you think no?
He's a Birmingham City player. He's fit and he can play. Yeah, he is prone to mistakes, and surely it's going to be more value for him to have some game time and keep playing. Yeah, there is the risk of him getting injured, of course there is. But why not playing? Because what happens if you don't? Who have you got in there? You've got Clara alongside Davis, have you?
No, Bielek. Clavis is having a rest.
Okay.
So Bielek and Davis.
Okay, so what if Bielek gets injured then in that game? Then we can't play him in the league.
Yeah,
So what I think I'm trying to get into the head of Chris Davis here. I'm thinking that he'll probably think, well, actually, I've got Sanderson's. He's a decent centre half. Okay, he's not the perfect, but he's a decent centre half. He's fit. Put him in.
Yeah, there's just something for me where I think there's a disconnect. I think Sanderson's got 1 foot out the door. I don't know. Just me, my thoughts, my thought process. Chris Davies. I don't know whether he's actually going to play him, but respect. All about opinion, isn't it, Dad? So respect your opinion, and that's great. So a lot of similarities, a few little differences. I think left back we were slightly different. You've gone Cochrane, I've gone Keller. You've gone for Dykes in the 10 and May in the 9. I've gone for Luke Harris in the 10 with Dykes in the 9. And I think apart from that, we were pretty much similar across the board, weren't we?
It is.
Sanderson for Bielek for me and you.
Yes,
and
the back,
that's it, yeah.
But the thing is, we've expected Chris Davis to make quite substantial changes before in games, and he hasn't.
Exactly, yeah.
In the first round against Sutton United, it was a really strong team. Really, and it took me by surprise. He had a Paik.
Yeah. I think the difference is the amount of games coming through now before the Christmas break. There were quite a few in the build up to Sutton, but we did have an international break. I think now the schedule is so intense, and we have Stockport and we have Barnsley.
Well, Stockport's on Tuesday. So Wednesday.
We have big games coming up, so yes. I think he will rotate this time.
Yeah, I think he will, and that's why I think there's so many changes in there. So if my starting lineup was as predicted, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 changes with my lineup, and very similar with yours. 8 changes from the team that started against Exeter.
And now we're talking about that seems like a lot, don't it?
That's what I'm saying.
That almost seems too much. Actually,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what Chris Davis hasn't done in previous in the first round of the cup, he only made about 4, I think, changes.
I guess it's wise to say we've kind of picked our teams off the back of the assumption Chris Davis might do some rotation. So if he's going to pick his full strength squad, he'll effectively do the Exeter model, won't he? Pretty much within reason.
Yeah, but that's for the league. That's the thing, Matt. That's exactly the point. He's going to look and say, well, actually, we've got Stockport coming up in a few days, so I'm going to play this team. And there's nothing wrong with it. That team that both of us have picked, that's a strong team.
Quality.
Should be capable of, winning
Mark
games.
Leonard.
Yeah.
It's Yokoyama.
Well,
You know, the
a
quality player.
a lot of Blues fans have actually asked for Yokoyama to start. Well, here's
Yeah,
his
yeah.
chance now. You know, we'll see what. It's just a personal opinion, maybe a conversation for a completely different podcast. I like Yokoyama, but he's not in my starting lineup.
He's
I
in
think
mine.
he's an impact sub, and he's a great player in terms of his ability to do things. But I just think that he's not quite there yet in terms of being able to give the complete 100% in terms of back and forward for a whole 90 minutes.
He's in mine depending on the opposition. So, like, you know, if you need those games where you need him to run at people, and we need a different outlet. We've been saying a lot on this podcast. We need different ways to go at teams. Yokoyama gives you that option. So, no doubt about it, he's a class player. But yeah, I think he will start this weekend because he'll want to see what he's made of. And I think Mark Leonard is a definite banker, regardless of what Chris Davis is thinking. And then the rest of it's kind of a bit more subjective, I guess. But love to hear from the Blues fans what they think. About
Definitely. Yeah, we'd love to know what your thoughts are on the team selection. So as always, pop a comment below. So just to finish off, then, as we always do, give me a prediction.
I'm going to be quite again reserved here, and I'm going to keep a consistent form here. I'm going to go with the clean sheet, and I'm going to go for a repeat of X. I'm going to go 2-0 Blues.
Okay, I've gone very close to that. I've gone for 1-2. So Blackpool 1, Birmingham 2.
Think they'll score?
Yeah, I think so. You know, and you know what, I'm a lot more confident now at the back based upon the Exeter performance. Before that, you know, we're always vulnerable to conceding goals. If we can follow that model now moving forward, I think we'll concede less goals. But I do think, you know, that it is a cup game. Anything can happen in a cup game, and I think that they have got some pacey players as well. So I'm just going to go for Blackpool 1, Birmingham 2, and then if we can do that, get to the next round, we could get someone really big in the in the third
Actually,
round.
no, the Premier League teams aren't in the third round. Are they in the fourth round? Are they in the third round? Okay.
They all come in the third round.
Imagine going to like the Etihad or Old Trafford or something.
Well, let's not do that. Let's not dream.
We
could be sitting here in a few days on doing the post-match thing. What happened there again? We'll see where we end up. But great to know your thoughts, Birmingham City supporters, and also Blackpool. If you're a Blackpool fan that's come across our channel for the first time, we welcome comments from fans from the opposition as well. So please pop a comment below and let us know what your thoughts are about your chances and what you think the result will be. Birmingham City supporters, you know, we've had from our conversations a bit of a conundrum about who's going to be picked, and love to know your thoughts. So pop your team selection below in the comments. And if you did like this podcast, as always, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to listen or watch your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us on there now. And you'll also see the handles for all of these appearing on the screen right now. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to our channel already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you want notifications when we do post a podcast, then hit that bell notification as well. And myself and Matt will see you all on the next video, all about Birmingham City.